we've gone over that quite a bit. There are so many possibilities. The big thing in education now is collaboration. I don't know if you remember, some of you aren't as old as me, but back in, when I was in school, some of you are a little bit older, when we were in school, a lot of it was doing the work ourselves. You sit down, you write a paper by yourself. You then maybe hand somebody to edit, and they can look it over next to you and they edit. It all has to be done in the class period. With Google and all the stuff that it has built into it, it's all about collaboration. So people can be in a document working with you. So when I created this presentation, I basically said, create presentation, share it with these 10 people, and I created the first slide. I come back in a couple hours later, and there's 5 other slides created. And I come back and do some stuff. So the peer editing, I can create something as a student, and then I can share it with somebody in my class, and they can edit it. And in high school, you can edit it at home. You don't have to be there. You don't have to take the paper home with you. There's ways to do all that. This is a great presentation I'm not going to go through, but the possibilities with Google Apps for Education are endless. There's a lot of, in this presentation, there's a lot of, when you go through it yourself, there's a lot of things that you can, wow, I didn't know you could do that, or wow, I never thought about kids doing that in the classroom. But it does really increase efficiency. Collaboration is my favorite thing about it. Everything can be collaborated on, commented on, viewed, all in real time. You can have somebody, you can all edit a document together. There's one site where I saw 200 people building a document together. So imagine what you can do with 200 people in a class all adding to it. I know it got confusing for a couple when you were in the, but you get used to it. And you just move your little cursor around and you can create some wonderful things. So teachers and students have Gmail, Google Talk, Google Groups, Google Calendar, Docs, sites, video. And there's a little, I'll just show this, and this is where I'll stop, but what you can do in Google Docs. You can kind of see how Google Docs would work, as opposed to how we used to actually handwrite in cursive a document, or even when we use Microsoft Word on our own computer, where everything was saved on our own hard drive, and we had to email it to somebody to take a look at it. Then they would make some edits, and they would send it back to you, and then you take a look at it, and you make some edits, and you said, now you got 5 different emails going back and forth with all these different, you don't know which one's the most recent version. So this is one of my favorite things about this collaboration feature. Anyways, go through that if you ever have time to. There's so many different things. We have teachers go through it to see, just give them some ideas. So as you can see, as a middle school and high school teacher, that can give. There's so many ideas can come from that.
Another thing to mention would be the way it can become a more paperless environment.
Yes, that's our
Submitting assignments via Google Docs and using Drive to leverage that ability. So, I accepted papers online basically, and the students were able to comment on each other's papers. It's really powerful. It's really powerful for them to be able to do that. And you find that they're a bit more engaged too, versus the pencil and paper treatment.
Is anybody a professor here at U of M or anything? So when you go to college, and it's been a while since I've been there, but I live in East Lansing and I see it all the time. I work with a lot of professors up there. You don't hand in papers. No, you're not taking it the last day when you have to turn something in. You're not stapling your papers together, running it to their office, and putting it outside their door. That's not how it's done anymore. And we're not even emailing them anymore. You're turning them into like an Angel or a Blackboard site, or it's an online site where you turn your paper into there and you upload it. So this is preparing them for what they're going to experience in the universities. Yes, ma'am.
Do they teach keyboarding for these students, or are they just pecking with 2 fingers?
Good question, and I'll let Rick answer that one. So we have different opinions, which everybody does. So same with cursive. I am not a big fan of cursive. I don't know why it's taught in our curriculum, but that's for another discussion. But keyboarding is the same thing to me. I can type, I think, or my son can type just as fast with his thumbs on an iPhone. I can also speak into my iPhone, and it types everything out for me. So I see a lot of students going, they might handwrite it out, and then they'll speak into their phone or their iPad, and it will type it all out, and then they go make the edits. I don't see us teaching keyboarding right now in our classrooms. I mean, it's not part of the curriculum as far as I know. This is my first year here, so I haven't seen it in the curriculum. But so no, it's not being taught. If it was, remember though, it was 1 day a week from what I've seen. You used to do it 1 day a week. You go to the computer lab in elementary school, maybe in the middle school, and you'd have it one where you practice for 15 minutes. I know when we got to high school, there was an actual keyboarding class, like on a typewriter, and that was actually every day for, I mean, that's the best way to teach keyboarding, I think. You have to do it every day, or else, but we don't have that.
I was just concerned.
No,
The movements for the joints, like you were saying, 2 thumbs, I just was concerned.
Yep. No, there's yes, we discuss it all the time, the two of us.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are differing philosophies on, how essential keyboarding skills are. I'm of the camp that I think that they are. And as part of my ed tech class that I taught in middle school, it wasn't a major focus because we had a lot of other ground to cover in terms of things like internet safety and other, internet type skills, information skills, things of that nature. I've seen people type very fast with the sort of hunt and peck method. I was fortunate to have, pretty staunch keyboarding class when I was in middle school, and so, I think there's value there. I think things are changing. I mean, one of the things I think to consider is differentiation among students and what might work best for a student. It may be, as Eric described, a situation where a student would prefer to write it by hand because that's the way their brain works the best, and then to dictate that, which we have the technology to do. They can dictate it, and then they can go back in a third time and edit for punctuation and do that editing and revision piece at that level. As a classroom teacher, I don't see a problem with that. I think we need to leverage all the skills, teach the kids those different skills, and then they'll eventually decide what works best, as we do as adults. I mean, we eventually figure out what works best for us as individual learners. So,
yeah. Good question, though. I mean, that's always a discussion that comes up. These kids have these papers to type, and it takes forever. They hunt and pack, and it frustrates teachers. So yes, iPads for K1 the next year. A lot of you, nobody's here. Nobody has a kindergarten student, first grade. Oh, you do? Good. All right. Good. So iPad minis are what we're giving them. Have you seen the iPad minis? The size of them, nice to hold in your hands. They come with that exact protective case right there. You can drop that from 5 feet in the air, drop it on the ground, and it shouldn't break. It also has a protective over the glass that's plastic that still lets it work nicely. And so the kids can get peanut butter and jelly and all that stuff all over it, and it's not going to hurt the iPad because you can just take a cloth and wipe it right off. And it's nice to hold. It's got nice and grippy for the students to hold. We really want them to use it. We don't want them to be like it's a piece of glass. We want it to be like they're carrying around a pencil or a calculator. Just part of their everyday use in their curriculum, and they shouldn't be afraid to use these things. So the K-1 implementation, like we said, next year when they get to their classes, your kindergartners, when they get there, they'll walk in the classroom, and they will have the devices in the classroom. Kind of like they'll have the block area, the crayons, and all this stuff, and the teacher will decide when they get to use. So, just like they might not use this certain section of the classroom for a week or two, it'll be the same with the iPads. The teacher will make that decision when they kind of are going to break out the iPads and start using them. Teachers are getting trained this whole year, starting in December. We started training all the kindergarten and first grade teachers. So 10 at a time, they've been coming to us. So small groups have been coming to Rick, Brian, and I in a curriculum center at the and we've been training them how to use the iPads, become familiar with the iPads. And then recently, in the last couple of months, we've been bringing them back for more advanced training, and they've been learning how to use it with their curriculum. So what do you do with math? So you're teaching your kids math, how can you use it? So we did a whole scope and sequence. So we kind of had the whole first month and a half planned out almost, like, kind of like a skeleton of first week of school, we do this for math. We might do counting to 10, kindergarten, whatever. How can we use the iPads with that lesson? And take out some other things that we used to do, and this is where the iPad fits in and help the kids. We did it for language arts as well, and we have quite a few lessons for social studies and science for that first month. So what apps can we use? What can we use on the iPad? So we have been training the teachers this whole year who are going to have it next year, and we're going to continue next year where our goal is to pop it, be in their classes with them, and co-teach, and get them so they're very comfortable. So my background is elementary education. I'm early childhood endorsed, so my background is elementary. So I'm excited to kind of go in those K-1 classes and help those teachers and get the teachers and students excited about using the iPads in the classroom with the curriculum. And then we'll also start the same kind of thing with the 3rd and 4th grade teachers. So as they get the iPads for the next year, 2nd and 3rd grade, 2nd and 3rd grade teachers, they get them for the next year, we'll be training those teachers. So there's a lot of ongoing training for these teachers. And once they get them, we don't just leave them, we continue with them and keep going. And then the apps, we're working on right now, we do a lot of free apps. And we're working on a policy to purchase apps eventually that might cost money. So if there's a great app that works for, and you might say, I'm part of the PTO, I want to donate money or give money so they can buy these apps. We're working on a policy because, again, equity is very important here in the district. So we want to make sure that each kindergarten and first grade classroom has the opportunity to have that same app. So we're trying to work on something that will work for the whole district for that. So right now they're going to get a lot of free apps. I think how many did we download on the pilots? 40 apps that we kind of did a lot of research on and figured out what would get them started at the end of the year here. And they have 40 different apps for all different math, science, social studies, language arts, and they are able to use those right now. And then there will be kind of like a request process. I think this app might use, so the math department, elementary math department gets together and says, hey, I'd like to use this app. And then we would go through a process and we would approve it, and then we get the apps